Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mang. Welcome back to Roll Mangging for our Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition campaign. As you can notice, this is gonna be an audio only episode because I'm lazy. Actually, that's why I don't feel like setting up the camera, and I don't think it really matters anyways. I know some people sit there and stare at my face while I talk for an hour, but I think most people just listen to the audio, so I don't think it's a huge deal. Yeah, so we had a few week hiatus there where we didn't have anything happen. I wasn't filled in as to the reasons why, but I guess it doesn't really matter because we're back. The holidays probably, I don't know. So we're back, and since it was a little while ago, if you don't remember, we had the holiday special with Mephistopheles, which was a series of puzzles, riddles, and a big fight against a dragon. And so we resolved all that. Some people got treasure, which I did not take, and I did not say my name. I did not tell him my real name. You know, likely the treasure is fine and giving him his name doesn't matter, but I took precautions because I want this character to stick around for a while. So I gotta be, you know. And so we popped back out in the woods where we had been plucked from. We popped right back out, but our companions were no longer there. So Archibald, the wizard, and my two hired companions were nowhere to be seen. So we're like, oh, well, you know, they must have just gone on without us. Let's get back to the temple and, you know, handle our shit. And so we start walking back to the temple, only for me to notice that when we went in there, it was winter. It was winter time. It's in a very temperate climate, so you know it's not like snow or anything like that. But I could tell that it was winter when we left, and now it seems to be more spring. And so I notified my companions of this, and we suspect maybe there was like a time dilation or something like that, you know, where time continued differently in that plane of existence than here, or something like that. That would be the likely answer. You know, magic, but really that's almost science-y, perhaps. So I don't know. So there wasn't really much we could do about it, so we're just like, well, let's get back to the temple and see if they know anything about it. And so we get back to the temple, and we ask the guy there, how long have we been gone? You know. And we're ready for him to say, like, 5 months. But no, he says about a week, so we're like, And we tell him that the seasons appear to have been different out there, you know, since when we left. And he says he'll have his scholars look into it. Okay. And so we're like, well, you know, we should probably see the Eidolon. We should probably see Garuda at this point. Get this taken care of. So we go to Garuda, and we get the alchemist in there. And we're like, well, you know, we've got everything we needed. We gathered it up. Can you, what do we have to do? And so he mixes up this concoction, this potion. And he's like, well, you'll need to make Garuda ingest this. And we're like, okay, Benny, what are you doing there? And so we force Benny to try to get this Eidolon creature to ingest this potion. He does not really want to do it, but we tell him he's the best for the job. And so he goes up to the Eidolon with the potion, and he starts tickling her armpit, which causes no reaction. And we're like, perhaps you should pry her mouth open and attempt it that way. And so he really just does not want to do it. So we have like a lengthy discussion about this. And eventually we're like, we could like tip her backwards, onto her back, and then that would be a lot easier to get the potion in her mouth. So it takes like all four of us to maneuver this. Finally, we get her to ingest the potion, and we all back the hell up. And like the color starts to, return to her skin. Like her skin starts to like lighten in color, which we take as a good sign. And then the bad shit happens, because her mouth opens and black smoke starts spewing out of it, which is probably not a good sign. And so the black smoke starts taking a humanoid shape. And we have to fight the black smoke monster. And that's what we do. And so black smoke monster was actually really difficult. It could have TPK'd us. Ren says that it couldn't have, but based on what I saw, I think it could. It was resistant to slashing, or it might have been slashing, piercing, bludgeon. Like, it was resistant to like everything except fire. The only thing that we could hit it with reliably was fire, but only Roella had that. Because we had all just hit in level 4. And so for my level 4, I got, we all get either an ability score improvement or a feat. And that's what 5th edition does a little bit differently. I don't really care for that system, personally. I like having mounds of feats. I think that's fun. That allows for a lot more options, customization. That seems cooler. They just stripped it down so much. So level 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, I'm pretty sure, you can either improve your ability scores, which is how it was in 4th edition, at those levels. So you can get +1 to 2 different skills. Or I think maybe you can, I don't know, I have my book right in front of me, but I don't know how long I want to look for that. Yeah, so you can either get 2 scores to increase by 1, or increase 1 score by 2. So you can do that, or you can take a feat. And so that's already putting feats at a really bad spot, because ability scores are pretty much everything in Dungeons and Dragons, for the most part. I mean, you either... I think 5th edition is slightly better in that aspect than 4th was. In 4th edition, you either maxed out your main skill or you were a scrub. Like, you were just a piece of shit. You were suboptimal. Here, I think there's a little bit of leeway. You still want your ability scores, the main ones, to be good, but I don't think it matters as much. So that's already putting feats at a bad spot, because you want your ability scores high. And so you either have to choose the ability scores or choose the feats. But then it also limits how many feats you can take. You can easily go through your whole leveling process and never take a single feat, and you'd probably be a pretty solid character. Whereas if you went through and take all feats, you probably wouldn't be that great. I don't know. I mean, I don't have much experience here, so I can't say too much, but I guess once you get your main score up to 20, which is the max, then probably you can look into feats. And there are some good feats. But, I don't know, I just like more options, and there's not many. But I guess in 4th edition, there was mandatory feats, you know? There was feats where if you didn't take them, you were a suboptimal character. And so they called it basically a feat tax, because you had to take the feat. That's just how it was. I mean, I guess you didn't have to. And if you weren't worried about the feat taxes and being suboptimal, you had a lot of choices. As far as just whatever feats you wanted. Most of them were kind of shit, but so for feats for 5th edition, you have stuff like, I mean, I guess each of them are weighted a little heavier because they know you're missing out on ability score improvements. So like alert gives you +5 bonus to initiative. You can't be surprised while you're conscious, and other creatures don't gain advantage on attack rolls against you as a result of being hidden. So that's all, like, that's 3 things in one. Whereas, like, in 4th edition, improved initiative is just +4 to initiative, you know? So this is already better than that, plus 2 other things on top of it. Is that worth the exchange? I don't know. Hard to say. Crossbow expert. You ignore the loading quality of crossbows which you're proficient. So you don't have to waste a reaction to reload. I don't know how crossbows work exactly. You can be next to a creature and use a crossbow without getting disadvantage. Okay. And here's the big one. When you use the attack action and attack with a one-handed weapon, you can use a bonus action to attack with a loaded hand crossbow you're holding. And so that's really cool, because that's really swashbuckler-ish, I guess. You can swing with your rapier and then shoot with your hand crossbow as a bonus action. So that it doesn't double your damage, but it gives probably a pretty solid damage boost. So there's stuff like that, and then there's stuff like, a lot of them also give an attribute bonus. So like the one that I just took for level 4 is Linguist. So Linguist in 4th edition was a feat. I'm pretty sure it just gave you a bonus 3 languages. It may have been 4, but I think it was 3. I think it was 3. Linguist, and that was it. So it was basically a role-playing feat. It was not something min-maxers would ever take, because it provided no statistical bonus or anything like that. It was just languages. But I was always a big fan of it, because Artemis is Artemis always took the Scholar. What the hell were they called? It wasn't the background. I don't think it was. Oh, the theme. Yeah, it was a theme. I think it was a Scholar theme, and so when you hit level 10, you got to learn every language. So I didn't have to worry about that. But before then, I would usually like retrain the Linguist feat once I got that. So, but yeah, I've taken the Linguist feat because I like languages. I like that flavor. So of course I had to take it in this one because I want a bunch of languages. So in 4th edition, it was just 3 languages. Here, you get the 3 languages, and then you're able to create written ciphers. So you can create codes that nobody can really crack unless they're geniuses like yourself. And it increases your intelligence score by 1. So my intelligence was 19. Because I had rolled up, for my stats, I had rolled up, I think I rolled 118, so I put that in intelligence, and then human gives you a +1 to everything, so I think that bumped it up to 19. So all I needed was 1 more to hit max, so yeah, I could take the ability scores, but I can just take Linguist and get pretty much the same result. So yeah, that's what I got. What the hell was I talking about? Oh, right, combat. Yeah, so level 4. So I got that. I got more power points. I got more health. And since my intelligence was at 20, I updated all those numbers, so I'm a little bit better. And then I got to pick a new power, a new psionic power. And so I was looking through the list, and I realized as far as combat goes, telekinetic grasp is not really good for combat. It's not a combat ability, despite what I thought. And mind thrust is really only good against somewhat intelligent creatures, which a lot of shit we fight is not. Like this shadow monster, I don't think I could mind thrust it. So I was like, I mean, I wasn't thinking about that, the shadow monster when I hit level 4, but, you know, I thought, like the basilisk, I don't think I could have mind thrusted the basilisk, because it was too stupid. So I was like, I want something that can just be used against anything. You know, I can hurt anything with it. And so there's a perfect spell for it. Perfect ability. It's called Telekinetic Blast. And basically what happens is I spread my fingers towards a creature or an object. Costs 1 power point. It's 1 action. And it makes like a whip cracking noise. Or like a thunder clap noise. And then if it's a creature, it has to make a con save. And it has to beat 15 now, because my con save DC, my spell save DC is pretty high. And then if it fails, it gets pushed 5 feet back, and it takes 2d4 bludgeoning damage. And that's okay. You know, if that was just an at-will spell, it'd be probably a little underpowered. But then I can augment it, so I can give it, for +1, as many times as I want. I can increase the push by 5 feet. So I could theoretically push something back, 300 feet, if I really felt like it, which would be pretty cool. For +3 power points, as many times as I want, I can increase the damage by another 2d4. So, at level 4 with 28 power points, I can increase that by... I can use that augment 9 times. So that would be a total of 20 d4 damage if I put it all into that, and they failed to save, which is likely. So that's really massive. That's a hell of a telekinetic blast, which is cool. I can also increase the range which I can hit something. I can change it to thunder damage instead. I can change it to slashing damage, which increases the damage slightly but decreases the push. I can pull instead of push, so it's kind of like Dark Beckoning. I can make it so it does no damage if I want to, not harm something, which is a possibility. And I would think the no damage... Oh, no, maybe not. But no, if I don't want to hurt something, I can do that. I can make it, instead of picking a target, I can have it do it as a sphere around me. So I basically push out a wave of force all around me. And so any creature or unattended object in the blast has to either make a save or get blasted across. And then for +17 power points, which I will not use this probably until like level 15 at the earliest, unless it's a really special situation, I can increase the range of the attack to 1 mile. So if I need to push something 1 mile away, I could do that. I don't know what situation that would be, but there it is. Okay, so yeah, that's what I took. I figured that would be useful, and sure enough, it ended up being very useful against this shadow monster. Because the shadow monster hit somebody right off the bat. No, I don't know. I don't remember the sequence of events. I think it lunged at Seneth, but he dodged it. And then we got into combat with it. Seneth quickly realized that his sword was kind of useless against it for the most part. Roella was pretty good because she had fire abilities, like Chromatic Orb can be fire, so that worked really well. And then my Telekinetic Blast. And the really incredible thing was I tried doing it as bludgeoning damage, which is the regular. I could have changed it to slashing, but I already knew that slashing did nothing. Or he was resistant to slashing. And so I found out he was resistant to bludgeoning, so I was like, oh, maybe thunder will work. But no, he's resistant to thunder. And so if he's resistant, it means that he gets to roll... Well, attacks have disadvantage. But since I don't roll for my attack, we figured that he gets advantage on his Constitution saving throw. So, yeah, he got to roll twice, take the highest one to beat the 15, and he couldn't ever do it. The Shadow Beast couldn't ever do it. So, I was feeling pretty good about that. And, so I would hit it, and it would do damage. It did damage right away, and I pushed it back. And then he moved forward again. I did it again, but I changed it to thunder, and I boosted it up a little bit. I did like 16 damage or something like that. I did quite a bit. I was feeling proud. I pushed him back again. And finally, he got right up in our grills, and he did like some horribleness attack, which threw us all against the wall. Did like 16 damage. It was intense. It was real intense and painful. Real painful. So apparently, if I hadn't been pushing him back every time, he would have used that attack every turn. And I don't know how that would have not resulted in a TPK unless Ren really fudged it. Because 16 damage... And 16 damage, that was on a successful save. That was a successful Constitution saving throw from me. That we all successfully saved, and we took like 16, 18, 19 damage. So if we had all failed, that would have had to have killed us. I refuse to believe any other way. Yeah. But, okay. That's how it was. And, so yeah, we eventually kicked this thing's ass. Partly due to me helping push it back and do some damage, and mostly due to Roella just blasting it with fire. And so it dissipated. And I'm like lying on the ground, broken and bleeding from the mouth, because I got just smashed into a wall. I'm like this 15-year-old kid that's never exercised in his life. So yeah, it wasn't good. But we survived. And so Garuda was still unconscious at this point. So we're like, well, she'll wake up eventually. I think we require some medical treatment. And so we started to leave. And suddenly we hear like this high-pitched screaming. And all the windows start to shatter. And there's like this epic wind just blasting through the whole building. So we're like, well, now she's probably awake. And so we let some of the priests or whatever go back in there. They conversed with her, and then she wished to talk to us. So we went in there, and we had a conversation with Garuda the Eidolon, which is seemed like a pretty important moment. And I was quiet for most of this conversation, so I mostly listened, because I figured that's what Orion would do. And basically the gist of it was Golk is a bad guy, as you can imagine. He is the one that poisoned Garuda. And he is he's basically, well, I mean, he's Nyarlathotep. We all know that. We've discussed this already. But she called him a demon, and that is probably not his true form, and blah, blah, blah. She all but used the word Nyarlathotep to describe him. And, basically, the Eidolons are not originally from this world, this dimension. They came here from some other world, which had been destroyed. And they were gods over there, or something like that. And so they came here to help fight in a war that the gods here were fighting. And so the demons here lost the war thanks to the Eidolons, I guess. The Eidolons' assistance. But the gods of this world left, or something like this. Something happened to them. And so Garuda suspects that Golk is, planning something against all the Eidolons. And or Golk works for somebody. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't know who Nyarlathotep really works for, except Azathoth. And I don't want to think about that, so. But yeah, Golk is probably going to go around to all the other Eidolons and start messing stuff up. So we need to track him down. And then, the topic of the stones were mentioned, because if you remember way at the start with the gnolls, they stole that stone and then they teleported somewhere. I think to this temple, but we never found them. And so the stones are basically they're basically summon stones, okay? They're basically a way for someone to summon the Eidolons' assistance. And yeah, there's a lot of Final Fantasy stuff going on. I know. But the Eidolon has to bestow this stone upon a person. It can't be taken. It has to be given willingly. And so the question really came up then of why did Benny have this stone, Who gave it to Benny? And Benny was real quiet on the subject. He just said, a shady person. That's pretty much all he said, which is real suspicious. We'll probably have to kill Benny at some point, but not just yet. And so then they started talking about, what was their plan of action, and they're like, where's the nearest Eidolon? And the nearest Eidolon is on the next continent, which doesn't sound near at all. It's we should probably head there, but then it was mentioned, Roella's father was mentioned, because he knew shit. He knew about Golk, he knew about stones, he knew about stuff. And that other rich guy in that town had a portrait hanging in his home that had the symbol of Artemis on it and shit. So people in that town know stuff, and we want answers. So we decided that's probably going to be where we head. And they asked what I thought, because I was quiet this whole time. And so I finally asked Garuda. Oh, what? Oh, no, I had said one thing, because the topic of Artemis came up at one point. And they said, Garuda said that Artemis was I don't know if she said he was one of us, or he was just a friend, or something like that. I mean, definitely he was on the good guy's side, but I don't know specifically how she phrased it. And they mentioned Ovum, how he was a devout follower of Artemis, and he had a symbol on his chest, and I asked, what did the symbol look like? Because I had a suspicion. Orion had a suspicion. And so Roella drew it on parchment, and of course it's Artemis' symbol that Orion had seen in his dreams. And so that got him real curious, and so then he really started pondering stuff. So finally, when they spoke to him, he told Garuda about the dreams that he's been having, and how he saw Artemis's symbol in his head, and it was these dreams brought him here, and what does this mean? Who did this? And so Garuda asked Orion if he possessed mental abilities beyond the scope of normal humanoids or something like that. And, you know, he admitted that he does. And, you know, she's like, oh, you know, it's very curious. I suspect that Artemis is still... yeah, it was mentioned that she didn't know where Artemis was. He had gone lost or missing, and she wasn't even sure if he was on this plane. And so then she's like, oh, it would seem that perhaps Artemis is still here, trying to communicate with someone of like mind. And I was like, And she suggested that I seek out this Artemis. And, you know, of course, that was the plan. So, all right. And so I told the others, I'm like, you know, my main objective here is to seek out this Artemis, but, you know, I can see the predicament this situation puts everyone in, so I will lend my assistance to you. And, so then Garuda herself has her summon stone or whatever. And so I think Seneth asked if we could have it, you know, to use it. And she said she would ponder it, you know, if we should have it. And, you know, she said she'll decide in the morning. So we all went to a comfortable night's sleep. And we got up. And Garuda decided, yes, she will give it to us for the direst of situations. And she gave it to Orion to hold on to. Which is cool. Actually, I should probably write that shit down. Hold on. So that was cool. That was an honor, I guess. And so then, you know, we pretty much just went on our way. Oh, we found Archibald in the temple. He had went there, and he had tried to entertain some children, and it went wrong, I guess. And so they kind of detained him a little bit. But they didn't have the other two. They also had some magical mishaps with Archibald. He turned one of them into a magic jar, and the other one, he like wiped all her memories, and so she now lives her life wandering around, unsure of where she is, what she's doing, who she is, all those wonderful things. Yeah. And Benny was there, of course, so Benny's with us. And so we decided that we are going to go talk to Roella's father and that other guy. We're going to see what's going on. We want some info. So we decided the best way was by boat, by Ovum's boat that we still have. So we set back out. We went to the boat. Zeratul was nowhere to be found. He was left there to guard it, but he's gone because, you know, Ziggy's gone. So, they all started swimming out to the boat. I'm like, I don't want to swim. Orion wouldn't swim. So I cast telekinetic grasp on myself, and I just started floating over there. But then Roella used her magic item that she had got from Mephistopheles, and she like summoned a rowboat and shit. And so she started rowing over there. So we get on the boat and we set sail. It's all good for a little while. Then we get to some heavy storms, real heavy storms. I ask if, you know, Master Archibald can do anything about it, but Roella insists that he does nothing. He casts no spells. Takes all the fun out of it. I mean, yeah, if you're going to be real sensible, sure. There's no reason for him to ever try and cast any spells, but if I was like that, Gulk and the bag from the Artemis campaign would have been real boring. You know? If I was sensible, I never would have let him anywhere near the bag, ever. But no, I wanted to have fun, damn it. So I built him his own bag room in the airship. It was fully protected and with a dropout floor. It was awesome. Man, that airship was sweet as hell. So yeah, so we were right near the town of Philia, I think it was called, something like that. And it was a kind of a bustling merchant town. It wasn't too bad, so we're like, all right, we'll stop off here and wait the storm out. And so we get into town. Oh, actually, when we left the temple, believe it or not, the priest there gave us 100 gold pieces each and a gem bag filled with like 400 gold pieces worth of gems or something like that. Just a whole mess of gems. So that was really generous of them. So we wanted to stop off to let Seneth sell these gems. And so he went to do that. And then we kind of discussed things. And we're like, should we really wait out the storm? Or should we just get horses? I mean, what's the best course of action here? And so we decided we don't know when the storm's really going to let up. And metagaming wise, of course, the DM put the storm there for a reason, so we will take the land route. So we went to get some horses. We discovered the price is exorbitant. So like, we should just get a carriage anyways. We have too many people. And so it was like 380 gold pieces to get a carriage and 2 horses because we had to buy it. So we're like, well, bill it to Roella's estate, in her town. And Ren let us do that, but we had to put 100 gold pieces down as like the collateral or whatever. And so that's fine. We basically, technically we just negotiated the price down from like 400 to 100. I mean, yeah, we may have to deal with ramifications later, but who cares about that? So that was good. I should have just summoned Garuda on that guy's ass. No. So Seneth got plenty of money for the gems. And he sold some rubies that he got from the Mephistopheles room. And he got a good price for those, I think. And so, yeah, we headed out. And I think, like, shortly after we depart on the road, there's like a overturned cart in the road, and there's a guy standing nearby. And that's where we ended. So, I don't know what Ren has planned for this cart and the guy, but I'll tell you, 8 times out of 10, if you encounter this situation in a Dungeons and Dragons, or any real role-playing game, fantasy role-playing, it's a trap. It's an ambush. It's some sort of shit. Even if the guy is not, like, willingly part of it, he is part of it, it's an ambush. Alright? So, just ride past. No good can ever come of it. Don't be altruistic. It's D&D. You can either kill them all or just walk past. Whatever. But, I mean, what's like the best case scenario here? Like, this guy's actually in need, and he's got some epic quest for us to go on, but he happens to have an overturned cart? No, it's going to be some either lame shit, or it's going to be an encounter, like some trap. Or he's a demon. Or some shit. I don't know. It's one of those 3. It's one of those 3, Ren. Let's see what you got. Yeah. So, Yeah, that's where we ended off. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm liking the campaign. I guess really my only problem with this is 5th edition. I gotta admit that's my only issue. I like the custom scion I came up with here. I mean, he's pretty cool. I'd probably be a lot more frustrated with it if I was just playing like a rogue. That would be, oh god, that would be really dull, I'll admit. So at least I have this going for me, but honestly, like, I don't expect, you know, them to change systems or anything like that. I'm just bitching to the microphone. But like, Fate Core would be so much better. Like, if you just, I mean, really, this seems like more of a role-playing heavy campaign. We got into one fight that whole session, and it wasn't that lengthy of a fight. Most of this was kind of just role-playing and talking. If you're into role-playing, Fate is better in every way. Dungeons & Dragons really excels when it comes to, well, Dungeons and Dragons. And, you know, again, I don't expect Ren to change or anything like that, so it's not a big deal. And I'm okay with the Scion, but 5th edition is probably not. I'm not going to buy any more books for 5th edition. I can tell you that. It's just kind of, yeah, it is what it is. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of stuff that I like about 5th edition. I like the magic system, I guess. I didn't make a wizard for 5th edition, but I prefer where it's just like a giant list of spells like the old days. I think that's really cool. There's a lot more options there, and spells get really ridiculously powerful and stuff like that. It's completely unbalanced and stuff like that. I like that. I like getting away with healing surges from 4th edition, and, you know, more healers are more important, and I guess you could have more of tanky characters, which is mainly our combat problem, is we don't have any tanky characters. So I like those changes, but everything else is kind of advantage, disadvantage, I kind of like it, but I mean, a lot of people's problem with 4th edition was the number crunching, where you had like 8 different bonuses and penalties to like a roll. So it'd be like, you have +2 from this, you have +3 from this, you have -1 from this, you have +3 from this. It's like, okay, so it comes out to you have +0 to your roll. So just roll a d20. I mean, I never had an issue with that ever, because I'm fine with number crunching. I can keep track of most things. But I can see how people have a problem with that. And yeah, advantage, disadvantage simplifies it drastically. But I would say, like most of 5th edition stuff, it oversimplifies it. You either have advantage, disadvantage, or nothing. And, you know, Spoonie's rant about 5th edition is pretty good on this point, because it's binary. You know, you either have it or you don't have it. There's no degrees of advantage. You know, whether you tied some guy's shoelaces, or you're up on a tree and the sun is directly in his eyes and he's suffering from like cobra venom and he just got stabbed in the neck, and you're pointing a repeating crossbow at him and he's drunk. That's advantage. You know, maybe some DMs would say that's just an automatic, but you know, that's an extreme example. The point is, you either have advantage or you don't. It doesn't matter how you got it, how intense you got it. It's just you have it. So I would say it oversimplifies stuff. So I kind of like it, but I think they went a bit too far. I like a bit more complexity than that. Yeah. So again, I'll keep playing 5th edition. I'll keep playing my Scion. If Orion dies and I have to make a new character, oh boy. Then it would probably be Carl Boomspark or something. I don't know. Just try to get all the craziest spells I can, because it's probably like the only thing I would have interest left in 5th edition. Like, I just can't imagine playing a fighter in this. God, that'd be dull. Like, really, what does a fighter get? You know what? I gotta read this to you. I want to tell you what a fighter gets as they level up. Let's look. Okay, so yeah, they get a fighting style, so they can pick, weapon in each hand, or they can pick, a two-handed weapon, or they can pick a sword and a shield. Blah blah blah. They get second wind. So it's basically like 4th edition. They can heal themselves once per encounter. They get action surge. So basically they get to once per encounter they can do 2 actions on a turn. Level 3 they get a martial archetype, so they can be a champion, battlemaster, or eldritch knight. They get an extra attack. So at 5th level, you can attack twice instead of once. At 9th level, you can re-roll a saving throw that you fail. And then for their archetypes, you score a crit on a 19 or 20. 7th level, you add half your proficiency bonus to any strength, dex, or con check. And your jump is farther. And then at 15th level, you crit on an 18 to 20. And stuff like that. And it's all just kind of this is very just min-max. There's really no options here. Think about how many options there's one option. No, there's 2 options. There's 2 options. There's your fighting style when you're level 1. So that picks how you fight. And then there's your archetype. So that's either you're a tank, you're a damage dealer, or you're an eldritch knight, which means you get some spells. So you're basically like a war mage. So that would be the most interesting one. The other one's like, God, the champion. Oh my God. I'm sure some people dig that. They don't want choices. They have their fighter character that they like playing. They don't need choices or anything like that. But man, oh man. It'd be like, for me, that's like doing your taxes. I don't know. That's not my thing. Anyway, I think I bitched about that enough. So, yeah. Apparently, we're adding in perhaps another player, which would be nice. 3 is not really an optimal amount for any RPG campaign. 4 or 5 is usually where you want to get up to. 6 is good for Call of Cthulhu, where you just want chaos all the time. For any structuredness, though, 6 is perhaps too much. Any more than that is kind of out of the question, unless it's a one-shot. So I'd like to get up to 4 or 5. But, yeah. All right, well, that will wrap up the audio-only episode of Roll Mangging. Next week, I might go back to the camera. I don't know. I don't know if anybody cares. It's easier for me to just do this, but I don't know. If you guys like looking at my mug. Oh, well. Anyways, my name is Mang. This has been Roll Mangging for our Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition campaign. I'll see you fine folks next week.